Greetings, I'm Joe Kolpacke. How about a round of applause for my band? I don't know what happened to the rest of them. Missing some of this. I am the oldest one in the class. Oh, I'm not that old. As a matter of fact, I did know Paul Revere. I have 3 kids. I've been married for 30 years, 30 happy years. Actually, I've been married for 40, but 30 of them have been happy. I'm a school teacher. I was a school teacher for 35 years. I taught kindergarten through college. So you can't put anything over on me. You, are you chewing gum? How about you? Sit up straight. And you over there, pay attention or get a detention. I was giving a test one day, and I noticed that the student in the back was looking over at someone else's paper. I said, excuse me, are you looking at someone else's paper there? He said, no, Mr. Kolpacke, I just have a sore neck. It's just bothering me a little bit, and I was just stretching it. I said, okay, but keep your eyes on your own paper. Later on that evening when I was checking the tests, I noticed that the student who was not cheating wrote down for question 13, sorry, Mr. Kolpacke, I don't know the answer to that one. The kid sitting next to him said, I wrote down, neither do I. In the 60s, I was teaching a class, and something weird happened. A man walked in, and he was wearing a raincoat, an overcoat, and a skull cap. He walked up to my podium, and he said, why? I had no idea what he was talking about. So I looked back at him and I said, because. Apparently satisfied, he walked out and was pleased with it. That's the 60s for you. I was teaching a 2nd grade class once, and I walked into the classroom, and there in the center of the floor was a puddle. I said, who did this? No one raised their hand. I said again, who did this? No one raised their hand. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to all put our heads down, and when I say everyone's ready, the one who did this, I'm going to put a rag by the puddle. You come up and wipe that puddle up. So we all put our heads down, and then I heard a pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter through the front of the rooms. 7 seconds later, I heard a pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter to the back. I looked up, and now there were 2 puddles. At the 2nd puddle, there was a note, and the note said, "The Phantom strikes again." Any vets or military men in the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear it for the vets. I was in the Army for 2 years. I was drafted. I was stationed in Arkansas. Arkansas is the land of magnificent mountains, beautiful rivers and streams, and no dental floss. Thank you. One day the sergeant called us information, we had a line of information, and he said, is there anyone in the ranks who's a college graduate? About 6 of us raised our hands. And he said, okay, you 6 come up here to the front. We came up to the front, and I'm thinking to myself, God, I'm going to get a cushion job. I got a college graduate, they give me an office thing. And he said, I want you 6 college graduates to go out in the drill field, and you pick up all the cigarette butts you can find. I want to see nothing but assholes and elbows. And the rest of you dummies, you watch them and learn something. I was okay on maneuvers, but I was not good on the firing range, the live firing. On the live firing range, we had plywood targets, and they would spring up, and you had to bring your rifle up and shoot at the target. Well, I had an African-American sergeant who was a gunnery sergeant, and he was standing right in front of those pop-up targets. When the target popped up, I raised my rifle up, and I fired, and the bullet landed right in front of him. He turned white, He turned red, he turned back to black again, and he was furious. He said, "Kolpacke, I didn't survive Korea to be shot by some dumb white hunky who doesn't know a shit about a rifle." He said, "You got KP for 2 weeks." I also taught military courtesy. I taught it not by lecture, which was pretty boring. I did a number of those in school. So I taught it by skits. And the first skit I walked up on stage, and I was met by a private who was walking across too. And I saluted him, and he did not salute back. So I stopped him. I said, "Hey, soldier, you didn't salute me." He said, "So?" I said, "Well, you have to salute an officer." He said, "Oh?" I said, "Do you know who I am?" He said, "No." I said, "I'm Colonel Kolpacke." He said, "Oh?" I said, "Look out there. Do you see those trucks? Do you see those jeeps? And do you see those tanks and that mortar and all those men walking around there marching?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm in charge of all that." He said, "Wow, you got a good deal, Mac. Don't fuck up." In another situation, I'm walking in town trying to teach the troops how to behave so they conduct themselves all the time so don't wind up in jail. I'm walking in town, and I'm walking on the street, and I come to a building called the Elks Club. And all of a sudden, when I stop there, things start piling down from the window above. Pots and pans are falling, books, pillows, all kinds of stuff falling out. And I looked up and I saw a guy in the window. He was hanging out the window. He was apparently drunk. I said, "Hey, what the hell's going on up there?" He said, "We're holding an Elks ball." I said, "You're holding what?" He said, "We're holding an Elks ball." I said, "Well, let the son of a bitch go before it kicks down the place." In Korea, the South Korean lieutenant calls the base. He says, "Colonel, we are in trouble. We're pinned down by the enemy. Send help quick. There are many, many enemy soldiers." Colonel said, "How many? And how many?" He said, "Many, many, many." "Well, just how many?" He said, "There are many, 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 many." He said, "Look, put the American lieutenant on the phone. Now, Lieutenant, just how many of the enemy are there?" "Sir, there's a whole shit house full of them." He said, "Well, why didn't you say that in the first place?" One time after Ridley, the Sergeant Lances went up and he says, "Count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count off again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sergeant walked up, number one, and said, "Are you one?" He said, "Yes, are you one too?" We're assigning everyone in here 5-paragraph essay on what you learned at the Ridley Comedy Club today, and the assignment's due on my desk Monday morning. How about something for the
Joe Kolpacke Sr., everybody. And the Joe Kolpacke Sr. Band. Give it up for them. You guys ready for your next comic? We'll keep that energy up for another newcomer to the stage. Give it up for the very funny Stacy Molinaro, everybody.